Welcome back to Mariners Down Under. It is your weekly look at the Seattle Mariners, from the 40-man roster to the brightest prospects. If you've been here before, you know how we operate. It's all positive with everything that we do, and today is no different, so let's get into it. Well, the boys are back at home, which is good on so many fronts, including the fact that these West Coast games are much, much kinder for us here in Australia, because those 4 a.m. wake-ups on the East Coast, at the best of times, they are pretty bloody tough to deal with, let alone when things might not be going 100% for the team. Now, this week's episode will be a little bit lighter. Work is just wild here for me right now, and I've been having these incredible conversations and interviews with some of your favourite prospects, and I wanted to make sure that we got all of those out in a timely manner, because I know that the interest is high. Like, the feedback that we get is just absolutely fantastic. And all going to plan, we should be back to our full and in-depth episodes next week. So the lads have kicked off their return to Seattle in style, though. They've taken game 1 of the series against the A's. That was a 3-2 win. So this one was a lunchtime start for me. So I was enjoying the sunshine at work, and then Rooker just jumps on Woo with 2 outs, and I think, oh gosh, here we go again. Strap yourself in. But the young ace, hey, he shored things up, and he had a stellar rest of the day. He went 7 innings, he gave up only 1 hit, and he struck out 7. And if we can just talk about Brian Woo for a second, what a 2025 campaign for this bloke. He's moved to an 11-7 record. The ERA is at 2.94, which that's 7th best in the American League. And he just isn't walking blokes either. He's 95th percentile in his walk rate, and he's still yet to pitch under 6 innings this season. He has been a rock for Seattle, and he's been the guy in the rotation that gives you a sense of, it's kind of like a sense of calm when he's on the mound, especially when he's at home, because that ERA at T-Mobile, that's under 2.3. The guy's a bloody legend, and I really hope that he can be a Mariner for a very, very long time, and I hope that he can be healthy for a very, very long time. So after the Rooker bomb, Gino brought it back to a new game, and then Naylor and Polo extended the lead. Now, she did get pretty close in the 9th with the bases loaded, but Mooney was able to work out of the jam. Maybe just don't put yourself in the jam to begin with, but maybe no one's ever thought of that before. And outside of the main club, there's been some pretty big news down in Everett. So Felton Saliston has been promoted to the Frogs, and bloody hell, hasn't he hit the ground running? So he's featured in 4 games, and so far he's got 4 hits, 9 total bases, a triple, a home run, 2 RBIs, and 4 walks. I feel like he is about to explode. And that Felton, Tai P, Johnny Farmallo trio, that is so exciting to watch in the batter's box and out in the field. And that's before we even get into all of these other blokes who are slept on in the batting lineup. Like, you've got Curtis Washington Jr., you've got Josh Caron, you've got Luis Swiesbell. And speaking of the Aqua Sox, today's guest, he is part of that great ball club. And before we get into it, can I just digress and say that this fella that we're interviewing today is such a genuine human being. So Teddy McGraw was on my must-have list, but I wasn't able to get in touch with him as he doesn't have Instagram. And, being 20 hours of plane rides away, plus, it's a little bit hard to reach out to those guys when, social media isn't giving me a helping hand. So I met him in Everett, and we spoke, just genuine guy from the get-go. He gave me his number. He was just so giving with his time. During this interview, his phone ran out of charge mid-interview. So he runs to plug it back in. He calls me straight back. And then, we have a yarn after the interview. And just genuinely, I cannot speak highly enough about this guy. And I encourage you all to go down and say g'day to him. Venture down to Everett and watch these boys play. It's a beautiful ballpark. It's a beautiful club full of beautiful people. And if you're like me and you've got kids, you understand how much kids look up to, their heroes or sports people, and then how much those kids value those positive interactions with players. And having your young ones meet someone like Teddy, and Teddy's not the only amazing person down at Everett, and he's not the only amazing person within the Mariners organisation. But people like him that are so genuine, like your kids walk away and they're like, yeah, I met someone cool and that person really cared about me. And that's a moment that kids cherish. So I just recommend that everyone go get around the frogs, get around Teddy, let him know you heard his story. And let's send send the big fella a whole heap of positive vibes. So, without any further ado, let's get into this week's interview with Mariners arm Teddy McGraw. So it's well known we love a good story on the show, and today's guest is one of them. He's a consummate professional, he's a hard worker, and he is somebody who beats adversity with determination. And in my opinion, one of the most slept on arms in Seattle's system. He was taken with the 92nd pick in the 2023 MLB draft, and he's undergone 2 bouts of Tommy John, but that hasn't let him stop himself from being a talent among talents. And I look forward to hopefully sharing with you some of that tough mindset and that drive for excellence. Teddy McGraw, welcome, mate, and it's really good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. Thank you for having me on.
So, your story, mate, I don't even know really where to begin, so we might as well start at the start. But your old man, Tim, so he was one hell of a basketball player. He was an all time leading scorer, he's a Hall of Famer, and eventually a head coach. So, I just want to know, was hoops part of your childhood? What was your first ever memory of basketball? And then what was your first ever memory of baseball? Because I imagine basketball was the one that was pushed in your household.
Yeah, I just kind of grew up like when it was warm outside in upstate New York, I would play baseball, and when it was too cold to go outside, I would just play basketball, or just hang out and do whatever at the Boys and Girls Club. So I just kind of grew up playing everything and always knew I wanted to be a professional athlete. And it kind of, as time went on, just realized like it was probably going to come in baseball rather than basketball, just all things considered. So I still, if I could play basketball, I still would to this day, but got some other priorities.
Yeah, just happened to become a professional baseball player. Nothing serious getting in the way there. So,
Right.
just out of curiosity, like, did you two go head to head on the court growing up? I remember me and my old man doing it, but my old man was just a firefighter who was older and stronger and taller than me. Yours is a certified legend of the game. And I know that you had your own little run of success in basketball in your own high school career, but do you remember playing together? And when was the first time that you actually beat him out on the court?
I don't know. I just remember like playing like Nerf hoop mostly like in the house, and like we would play one on one, but he would just kind of like let me win sometimes. Or I mean, it was Nerf hoop, but like sometimes he would play on his knees and I would play, but I don't really remember like playing like on the court like a real game like against him or anything. It was just kind of like he would just go with me and he would help me like he would rebound for me, and we would get some shots up, and we'd do that pretty consistently in like in the winter months.
So having that sporting household has obviously helped you because you were flying in high school, mate. You were the 25th best baseball player in New York. You're a top 500 perfect game player. You finish as a 3-time All-State honoree for baseball. You're 3-time All-Conference. But then your senior year, mate, you have to sit out with Tommy John. You're so young at that point in time, so emotionally young, physically young. It must to you of that at that time, it felt like your entire world was ending. Can you walk me through that time and what were some of the things and who were some of the people that helped you stay really mentally strong during that time?
Yeah, um, I mean, I've been actually thinking about like that time, like the high school time when my first injury like happened. I've been thinking about that recently a lot, and I feel like the way that I view things or anyone views things constantly is always like changing over time. So in the moment, like when the news broke and it said like, yeah, you're gonna miss everything kind of your senior year, but like you'll be able to go to college like healthy and everything. It hit me hard, and I was kind of just like, "Oh, okay, this is just what I have to do." And that's when I started focusing a lot on just getting into the gym and working out more, and being able to spend more time doing that. But I think the real message of the changes that I needed to make in my life. I still didn't really grasp or understand. I didn't really spend any time, like much time, just really thinking about what I want to do in my life and what type of life I wanted to create. And so I just look back at that time now, and it's like I wish that I would have kind of opened my eyes a little sooner when that happened, but I obviously can't change it. So just being able to be like, okay, I know that this time, like I probably wasn't making the right decisions, and I can't go back and make those just like change that. But I can just kind of just realize like, okay, what life really could have been if I had still held on to living the truth and aligning myself with who I wanted to be instead of kind of just letting things that weren't going to help me just prevent me from being who I wanted to be instead of just sitting with the time and sitting with my thoughts and saying, oh, okay, what's going on here? If that makes sense.
It does. I think sometimes injuries are like it sends you one of both ways, and I guess being able to be comfortable in yourself and understand the process that you're about to go through is really important instead of, I guess, continuing along a path of I call it self-destruction. Like you can sit there
Right.
and you can be sad and sorry for yourself all the time, or you can get up and you can improve yourself. And look, you've done a half decent job because you've eventually decided, you're going to continue your career at Wake Forest, and that wasn't your only baseball offer. But I've got two questions here first for you. Why Wake Forest? I know that was one of a few options. What was it about Wake Forest? What was it about the campus and the lifestyle there that made you choose to select that? And did you have any basketball offers? Because as I said earlier, you were not too bad. I'm usually pretty cocky with guests that come on. I'm like, listen, you might be able to throw 90, you might be able to hit bombs, but I know from my resume I can beat you on the basketball court. In all honesty, mate, I think you might have me covered. So, well, yeah, why Wake Forest and was basketball an option?
Well, I went to Wake because I just wanted to go like down south. I wanted to get out of the cold weather and be able to get outside and practice instead of doing half the year in a gym, like throwing at a basketball court. So I just wanted to go down south, and I wanted to play like in a premier conference. I just like wanted to play ACC baseball. And when I got to Wake, when I got onto the campus, they kind of just preached the development side of things, and they had a vision for where the program could. And so that was super intriguing to me, and that kind of checked all the boxes, and that's how I knew I wanted to go there. So no, I didn't have any basketball offers. I don't think I had anything close to any offers. It was just I was just like a decent high school player, but
So your freshman year in college, mate, you operate out of the pen. It's 19 appearances. There's 22 strikeouts in 18.1 innings. You've had a great year, but it's a new level, right? So thinking back to going from high school to college, what were some of the biggest adjustments that you found? What did you have to do differently with hitters to still get the same result?
yeah, it was certainly a process. Like, I remember early in the year, freshman year, like the first couple of games just kind of felt foreign almost, just from spending, a whole rehab like my senior year and not really playing that high level competition in high school. Just kind of like it had been, I don't know how long it was. I guess over 18 months since I was in like a real, competitive game. And so like it was just an adjustment period getting back to like just competing again and getting out of a different mindset of just like, okay, I'm not, rehabbing my body anymore. I'm trying to get out. And the year had its up and downs, and but there was a lot of growth there. And by the end of the year, I felt like I was ready to go, pitch in Cape Cod and become a starter and just go out and pitch.
Well, it clearly was a good launching pad for you because 2022, mate, you were flying. You grab yourself 6 starts. You dominate Virginia. You were red hot. They were crazy. Like at that time, and you came in. You struck out 6 in 6. You were a USA Baseball Collegiate National Team member. Your staff, your quality, it's shining. Your stock's rising, and then you dealt another cruel blow. It's Tommy John again. This has to be, and I'm just assuming here, but this probably for you, mate, has to be a moment of some serious reflection. You've done it twice now. What was your mental state? What were you going through at the time?
Yeah, I mean, when you first got the news, it was just feel like you feel pretty empty, you know, and I felt pretty empty. And I just kind of won't ever forget that feeling because it's just like everything that I thought was going to come in my life, like with that news, is all now going in a complete different direction. And so the empty feeling, it probably wasn't, it kind of just shows that like that's where I had my identity and, placed all my cookies, was just like being able to like get drafted and, try and be as high as the pick as I can and like all that stuff. And I kind of let that control me. So then when it was taken away, I think that's why it hurt so bad and I felt so empty, where I didn't really have a sure sense of self, just an idea of what baseball could bring me. And I kind of let that control me. But then the year was still, I still enjoyed the year because our team was so good and we had such a good culture of love just around the clubhouse and around the guys every day. So being able to be around that and see the success and see like a high operating team every day and be around that helped me a lot. It killed to be like on the sidelines the whole time and be like, man, I wish I was out there. And but it was also like all the other time just being around a bunch of super cool guys and being around the love that we all had for each other helped me like get through that time and make it a little easier for me. So it's still, like I said, it still stung like every time being out there and just kind of watching and seeing everyone, kind of like flourish and blossom a little bit. And, you know, it just really made me think like, okay, like when I get the time, there has to be a reason why, I'm not out there. And I believe that I could find that reason. And that time kind of came when I got drafted and that kind of started, a whole new journey for me.
So after the injury, it's rehab again. It's surgery again. It's the road back again. Did you just ever consider going, you know what, I'm going to get a desk job? Or was it always that mindset of, no, I am coming back. I'm riding this out. I'm seeing this to the end.
Yeah, I mean that was the only option at that point. Definitely, like I didn't had any other thoughts of doing anything else. I was just kind of like, I'm gonna go all in, and like on the other side of it, I'm gonna be the person that I want to be. I'm gonna do whatever I can to erase any doubt in that or any lack of belief in any everything.
So I would describe you as a high quality human. When we met, I walked away. I know I said to the person I was with, I was like, fuck, he's a good bloke. I like him. And this has been something that, I was joking with one of the guys yesterday who we just drafted. It's like Seattle has this no arsehole policy, and everybody that's drafted into the organization is a good person as well as a good baseball player. But what I've also found is a lot of the players that we've drafted are quite serious when it comes to their schooling. And you took your education very seriously. So you were a member of the Future Business Leaders of America. You were on the student council at one time, National Honor Society. Why to you is the off the field stuff as important as the on the field stuff?
I think now, like a lot of the work I try to do on myself is mainly just like doing whatever I can to just be fulfilled every day, just to live in love, just to like be able to demand the highest energy out of myself so that I could spread it to others and just try and pick other guys up and just try to just spread love in every moment. That's really like after the second surgery, I kind of just realized like that's just the way I want to live. I think that's, you know, the 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 key to life is just to live purely and fully as yourself and be able to just be be present and take everything as it comes and give everything as it comes and just kind of keeping that as the focus of like this is what matters, how to treat people, how to be there for people, how to give, whatever you have or whatever others someone else needs at their time and maybe my words help them, maybe they don't, but I'll try and, speak from the heart in that sense.
So 2023 MLB draft, it rolls around. You're hurt, so that means that it's very up in the air in where you'll go. The injury throws a spanner in the works, but the spade that the spade is that you have exceptional stuff and there is going to be interest there and you're going to get taken. But prior to that big day, like did you have much contact with teams, with scouts, or did you simply go in cold turkey? What was the lead up to the draft like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I met with all the teams like in the fall of that year, but then after I got hurt, like I didn't talk to any teams or any scouts or didn't really have any idea of like what it was gonna look like, and so I was just like hoping to get drafted, really, and like my agent was just saying like, yeah, we'll just see whatever comes and take what comes. I was like, okay. But he's, like, saying, like, "Besides that, I haven't really talked to anyone, like, nobody really knows with you." And so I was like, "Okay." And then, like, before the 3rd round started, before day 2 started, like, he's like, "Hey, like, the Mariners are gonna take you in the 4th round." And I was like, "Cool." And that's how I kinda, like, relaxed a little bit because that was the first thing that I had heard of, like, any interest or, like, really anything since, like, the fall. And, they ended up taking me in the 3rd round, but it was just cool moment as any, draft moment. It's just like a dream come true, and, I was kinda ready to go out and start that next part of my life and really, lock in on the rehab and what I needed to do to, get back to the field.
So the American school system confuses me to a level that I've never been confused in my life before. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, you had a year of eligibility left. If that is correct, did it cross your mind to go back to school? Or was there a point in the draft where, whether it be financial, whether it be simply opportunity wise, where, I don't know, say you get to the 10th round and you're like, you know what, I think school is an option where I should go back to. Was there something in your mind where you could have gone back, or were you just 110% set on getting drafted?
Yeah, the rehab was, like it's longer than a normal rehab after you do it the 2nd time, so, like, with the program that I was given through the doctor, I, like, wouldn't have been able to play again the next year. So I could have gone back, but it would have meant I would have to go probably gone back for 2 years. So I would have had to go for a senior year and, like, a 5th year. And so that was kinda just like, "Yeah, that's out the window. I need to go now."
So that moment when you get picked by Seattle, what did you sort of touched on it a little bit before, but what did you feel and who was around you on that day? Who did you celebrate that special moment with?
just all my family and friends. It's like it's a really cool moment, and it's a moment every ball player envisions for their whole life. And then when it comes true, it's can't really describe it. It just kind of like just makes you just have a lot of gratitude and appreciation for just all of the stuff in life, like everything that went into it, all of the positive, all of the negative emotions that you experienced to that point, and kind of like realize like, oh, this is all worth it, and just being able to be around the people that have seen you at your best days, but also seen you at your worst days. It's just a feeling of love for all of that. So
Now, your talent, as I've mentioned, it's undeniable. There's an excitement level around you and who you are, but it hasn't always been easy for you after being drafted as well. It's not been sunshine and rainbows. There's been some more injury stuff come up. How is the body now, and how are you managing everything physically, but also mentally?
yeah, it's good now. It's been a whirlwind of the last year or so. Last year I made it out to Modesto, but then through like 10 innings or so, and then I got pulled from a game with elbow pain, and went and saw the doctor and got an MRI, and he actually said like you have a tear in your flexor tendon, which is like the tendon that protects the inside of the elbow. It's like the precursor to the UCL. And so he is like, this was, I guess, around September 1st of last year. He's like, you need another surgery and a 12-month rehab. And it just kind of like, it shook me because I had done so much work. I did everything that I could from a physical perspective, but mainly from like a emotional and a spiritual perspective, and from a belief perspective. I had been spending pretty much all of my free time just thinking about just a new life, like a new start, being able to kind of disassociate with my past, like understanding that those experiences and those thoughts will always be there, but being able to like turn them down and not have any fear of them happening again. And now I was facing, like, it felt like I was facing that whole reality, like right in front of my face, like I was facing it. And so I obviously, like, I was just thinking about it and thinking about another surgery and another 12-month rehab. I didn't know what growth for my life would look like if I had went that route, because I had felt like I had just spent a whole rehab kind of doing my best to unturn every stone and give everything I had. Like I didn't know what else I had to give. And so I realized, the more I thought about it, the more I realized like if and when I can heal without the surgery, just through the belief that I could heal and nothing else, then I know that I could like that overcomes like my biggest limit of like battling my arm, battling, being injured and all that stuff. So I made the decision like to not get the surgery, and to basically just say like my elbow is going to heal just through faith in God, just through believing that it's going to heal. I think, I told a lot of people at this time, and I went home and just got a bunch of space and kind of went off the grid for a little bit, and went back to the doctor and got another MRI scan. And he was just like, dude, like what? Your elbow looks phenomenal. Like, have you been doing anything physical? And I'm like, no, I've just been sitting at home thinking and praying. And he's like, well, your elbow looks great, man. I'm gonna like we'll clear you to start like working out and start to throw. And so now, then like a couple weeks later was like the start of the new year, and started to throw again. And through the build up for the season, like the elbow didn't feel good, but I was basically like, I spent the fall healing, and then I kind of was just like basically rehabbing it through throwing, rehabbing it through pitching in games. Just like saying, all right, this doesn't feel necessarily normal, and I may have some pain, but that's okay. Like the pain is there for me to continue to heal. And so just kind of like accepting that and kind of just like just letting whatever comes come and still keep the same mindset of what I've had the whole time and the way to heal. That's just like what I've been doing this whole year, well, on top of just trying to like get outs, you know. But then when I got out to Everett, like the pain started getting kind of like worse and worse. But I knew that I had to like the whole time I'm telling myself and I'm doing everything I can to like say, okay, I know this pain isn't coming because something's wrong. So where is this pain coming from? And it felt like I was facing the same experience that I was facing last year in Modesto. I was facing the same pain and all of the same thoughts that were attached to that pain. But this time there's going to be a different ending. Like I knew that if I could face all of those experiences that I were held on to in fear and kind of limiting me and who I could be, that if I could face those same things and have a different ending, then that is what truly like recreates my mind, recreates my belief. That's what will bring me the freedom and the peace to be able to now go have a career, even though I've had two surgeries and just being able to like be free out on the mound again. And so right before the All-Star break, I was throwing a pen in Tri-Cities and just I had a lot of pain. And I only threw like 4 or 5 pitches and shut it down. Like it was pretty real. And we just kind of shut it down, went and got an MRI, and the doctor calls me. And at that point, like I had come so far, I was like, I know that there's no way something is wrong because I've kept the same mindset this whole time, the same mindset that allowed me to heal. I've been developing every day further and further. And I know that I'm going in the right direction and like fully trusting that. And the doctor calls me, he's like, "Hey man, like how you doing?" I was just like, I don't know. You know, like I'm going through it. Like this pain isn't fun. But the whole time I had the faith that I was healed the whole time. And he was like, "Well, your MRI looks better than it did to start the year." And I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. He's like, "Yeah, everything looks great in there. Like it looks phenomenal." So it just started. That was like a month or so ago, and now like just back to pitching, and I feel good, and I'm just very grateful for the way the last year has gone. You know, just being able to experience all those emotions and all those thoughts and kind of just be in this spot of just being out here surrounded by a bunch of great guys, surrounded by a great coaching staff and a good organization and being able to live my dream every day. It's truly amazing.
Obviously, you're pitching at the moment, and your goal is to have yourself a career and make baseball something if you possibly can and exhaust that opportunity. But have you also thought about what your role could be outside of on the mound within this team as well? Like, you're very in touch with your own emotions. You're very emotionally mature. I know I got the baby face, but I think I've got like 10 years on you. Like it took me a hell of a lot longer to get the level of emotional maturity that you have. Is something like mentoring other guys in the system that are going through injury worries, or yeah, we've got somebody like Ryan Sloan who is joining you or just joined you in Everett, who bucket loads of talent, future ace of the organization. Maybe he might not go through injury struggles, but there may be some, mental ups and downs. Is mentoring and sharing your story and helping give other people the perspective that you've got, is that something that's important to you as well?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really look at it like mentoring or anything like that, but like I'm an open book and I'm always tell guys, if they're going through something, like like, if I can relate to anything through what I've been on, like I'm gonna tell them, and just trying to be able to like maximize the understanding of the experiences that I've been through, and being able to like truly, because these things happen and we don't really know, like we don't really know what they mean, or how it's supposed to like shape us, but it does. And like whatever experiences we have, whether like on this, whatever if we could call it good, or we could call it bad, or we could say like whatever this is, this can be used to help grow, however painful, or however, misaligned this feels with who I want to be. This is an opportunity to help grow. And so just being able to like not fully, but like do my best to make it fully, like trust the process and trust the growth process, and just find the joy and, the ups and the downs, in it all. And, major league, minor and major league baseball, I guess, continually, time and time after again, just gives you those tests and those challenges, and being able to see it for what it's worth, and allow the time to shape who we are and evolve as humans because of it.
Now, I've only got a few more because I could take all your time, because like I said, you've got a hell of a story, but I am conscious that you're giving up so much of your valuable time. I mentioned before, your stuff is elite, mate. It is exceptional. So, can you walk me through what's in your pitch mix at the moment, and what's outside of the heater? What's your, I guess, what would your favorite pitch be, or your go-to pitch in a pinch?
Yeah, I throw a two seam and a four seam fastball, and then just throw a changeup and a sweeper. And I like throwing them all. I love just being able to go out there and just compete, and just, just throw it at guys and see what happens, and just being able to just go out there and step on the mound is a blessing every time. And it's so much fun, and being able to just be completely locked in on either Josh Cairns mid, or Matthew Ellis, and just being able to, try and figure it out on the fly every time, and say, okay, this is what we gotta do, this is what we gotta do, you know, and just that never ending process. And it's just the art of pitching. I love being out here. I love watching the other guys pitch on our team, Evan Truitt and Taylor Dollard and Ryan Hawks and Nico Teleshay, all the other starters. I love watching them. Nick Piero and Ryan Sloan today. That'll be the first time I get to see him pitch. It's just a never ending growth, never ending evolvement of just, the craft.
And I know you've gone through your period of self discovery and shaping yourself. So when you're not at the facility, when you're not walking on the mound, or doing things that are baseball related, how do you like to relax and spend your time? Who's Teddy McGraw outside of baseball?
I like to like, just drive around. I have this big red van that I moved into a little over a month ago, and so I sleep in there, and then on the off days I like to kind of travel around the Pacific Northwest as much as I can, just for a day or so, and I'll go for walks or drive, or just talk to some people on the road, and just kind of live pretty simple, and just hang out and talk to people, I guess.
It's good. You never know what stories you're going to find from people too. Like, some of my
Yeah.
most amazing conversations have just been random. We're waiting in line, and you're going to chew someone's ear off for half an hour. So I rate that. That's a good one. You've had a big journey. You've had a successful journey, but it has had its ups and downs. And I mentioned your dad earlier in the podcast. He would have been such a great support system sports wise, and understanding sports and that psychology. But I'm sure your mum has been an incredible support system for you as well, and there would be other family members and people in your life. So if you can think back and go, who are some of those people that have helped you or helped shape you into the person that you are? Who are some people that you'd like to thank for helping you on your journey and get you to where you are today?
Yeah, obviously, my mom and my dad and my two sisters, they're there every step of the way, and they got to see my whole family got to see me pitch in Spokane, which is pretty cool. It's been a little bit of time since that. Um, they have they they step every step with me. They've seen me at every point. So obviously, they're first and foremost, and then Coach Muscara at Wake, he really helped me. Some conversations with him, like when I was initially, like after the second surgery, just talking with him, he kind of, helped me shift my mindset with it all, and really cared about me as a person. And um, John Hendricks from Wake, and just a lot of friends um, at Wake that were just there for me. My friend Brett Lauder, Adam Cesari, Tommy Hawk, a lot of other guys, Seth Keener. And then when I got to the Mariners org, it was just I found a group of people really quick that I spent a lot of time with that were also in rehab, and we just had a lot of real conversations and deep conversations about what are we doing, and what's our why, and what's the goal to all of this, and who are we, and just spending a lot of time just like having open conversations. I think that it's helped me tremendously grow. I think that's one of the healthiest things that you could do in life, is just to be able to articulate our thoughts, and what's holding us back and what's going to get us to where we want to go.
Now, my final two questions. So, I started this podcast to share the positive stories of players. I got sick and tired of the negativity. I got sick and tired of other podcasts out there that would, I guess, try and buddy up with the players, and then after a bad outing, they'd shit all over them. I can't deal with that. I can't deal with the two facedness. And there's also that side of being an athlete that has its own challenges. People think you get drafted, you sign this $100 million contract, and life's good, but in fact, it's a completely different road for everybody. So what I want to do is humanize people and humanize the experience of professional baseball and break down those barriers. So, can I ask you to maybe describe one challenge as being a pro baseball player that the average fan or the average person might not realize or think about?
I think right now we're playing the Hillsborough Hops, and Ashton Izzy's on the team, and he obviously got traded a month or so ago. And like just thinking about the idea of being traded, it's pretty crazy. Like I was thinking when you asked the question, the first thing that came to mind was just like trades, being traded to another team. Like one day you're working with the same guys that you've been working with all year, and for your whole career, you've been working with this same organization. So kind of how everything operates, and you kind of know the ways of, the culture, I guess you could say, and the philosophy of an organization and all of that stuff. And then next thing you know, you get a call and you're gotta pack your bags and you gotta go join a whole another organization and a whole new group of people, and kind of just like leave all of those relationships behind, an abrupt kind of stop, and just go start, something new. And it's, their trades, like they happen all the time. And I think it kind of like, you just see like, oh, this guy traded for this guy. And, that's like the humanizing part of it all. It's like, wow, if you're working, a desk job at a bank, and all of a sudden it's like, no, like now you're gonna go move from California, and you're gonna go live in North Carolina now, and work with a whole new group of people or something like that. Like That's pretty crazy to think about it, but it's obviously so common in sports that we don't really think about it like that, and but a lot of athletes experience it at some point. So it is
Yeah,
kind of just like it is what it is, but it happened. So
it's like treating people as assets and forgetting they're people at the end of the day too. Like everyone has those emotions and feelings, and
yeah,
like it was a bad time for me around the trade deadline because I've been able to create some really great relationships with players like Brock Moore, who's just rejoined you guys. Like I would class Brock as a friend. We speak regularly, even though he was our first guest like 8 months ago. We continue to touch base a couple of times a month, and it gets to those trade packages coming through. And I'm just praying that it's not somebody that I've connected with through the podcast because it's awesome, getting to know you guys. So I mentioned we started this so that, I wanted to be different. I wanted to stop the bullshit. But at the same time, it was also about giving a platform to different people and helping people share their story and promoting the good work that goes on at the minor league level because sometimes it's really hard to keep up with the major league team and then, the four minor league teams. So I hope you've enjoyed this experience coming on. I hope you've enjoyed being able to share your story. But to keep the podcast going, being so far away, we do require recommendations for guests. So, is there somebody that you would recommend that we interview that you know through the Mariners system? But keeping in mind, whoever you recommend, you've got to help us get the interview.
yeah. Have you interviewed Jared Sundstrom yet in Arkansas?
No, he's been recommended to us by a couple of people. So what happens is like obviously nobody knows who I am. I had to fly halfway around the world to be able to get a hold of you, but and I understand like sometimes some of the messages that come through on social media they're pretty vile. Like they're pretty gross and people don't want to check their message requests, but I'm pretty sure Sundstrom is a guy that we have reached out to, hasn't seen our message and hasn't got back to us, but he is on my hit list, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. He is one of the guys I spent a lot of times with in rehab, and he just a big ball of sunshine. He's just a big, bright, just happy guy. Then and think you would enjoy talking to him because that's just who he is. So I'll give him a text.
That'd be awesome. Otherwise, I'm coming to spring training in February, so I'm just gonna have to come with 1,000 t-shirts and just like you, guilt people into doing this with me.
Right.
So, but mate, thank you so much for your time this morning. I know we've chewed up quite a lot of it, but like I said, you've got an exceptional story to share, and I'm just wishing you all the very best with your health, with your happiness, with your career, whether that be through baseball or eventually whether it be somewhere else. Just wishing you the absolute best, and if there's anything that we can do for you, you've got my number. You just need to text. So thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you, Nate. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Well, again, a huge thanks to Teddy for all of his time. Great person, great ball player. And hopefully you enjoyed the interview. So, as I mentioned at the top, these are some shorter and sharper episodes. Just while I'm a bit under the pump here with work, the weather's turned and everything's flying. Now, our giveaway is still going, so we're still chasing the 1,000 followers on Instagram. And there's all of those high-end baseball cards, including that Cal Raleigh card, which is worth hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. On-card auto rookie card. So make sure you get around it. Keep sharing the page. Hopefully we can tick over to the 1,000 by the time our next episode comes out. Because after that, there is a signed Julio Rodriguez jersey that will be given away. So again, really appreciate your time and you spending some time listening to listening to my voice. And we hope to see you next week. But as always, stay safe, stay well, and go Mariners.